So one thing I'm going to be doing over the next few months is setting up, well, probably years to be honest with you, but setting up a more permanent YouTube studio for all this stuff here. So today, I'm going to take one small step in that direction with a simple, fun, wooden working project. And whoop, there's a little piece, I got to cut a little extra piece off of Michigan there. I didn't completely finish cutting out the UP apparently. Whoops. Anyway, I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. And if you watch this channel, you know me for some woodworking projects, but as well as miniature wargaming, rocker robotics, all that fun stuff. But I also have another really tiny YouTube channel I never did a whole lot with, and that's the Story of Michigan. You can find that on YouTube or storyofmichigan.com, where I do historical content based on, well, the history of the state of Michigan and whatnot. And so I need to build a new set piece, I guess, for that, because I actually haven't posted anything there in about a year, but I've got some stuff written up. I'm ready to start recording some more videos for that. So that's why we're working on a very simple little woodworking project here, where we're making a bit of a rustic, I don't know what you call this type of wall panel look, silhouette of the state of Michigan. That sounds pretty good. I don't know what else to call it. So let's begin this process by going ahead and jumping over to my computer and explain the template part of things while I kind of fix this little screw up I've got here up in the corner of the UP. Today's project begins here on the site of the USGS, the United States Geological Survey. Now, they're probably most well known for their earthquake reporting and things like that, but they do have an entire map of the United States. Now, this particular source is useful because the fact is most of the products produced by the United States government are in the public domain, and you can use those maps without issues, whereas getting maps from a private company may technically be some sort of copyright violation. So I'm going to pull up the national map here. So let me just go focus in a bit here on Michigan. So this default map here can get a little bit messy for converting it to something we want to turn into a template. So what's probably easier is we can go up to the upper right hand corner up here. There's a whole bunch of menu options. I'm just going to hit this little 4-pane thing. You can see a bunch of different types of maps. Probably what I want to use is the light gray canvas. It's pretty much turning things into an outline. And that's plenty good for what we want, because what we really want is a silhouette of the state. So now I'm just going to take a screenshot of this and bring this over into Photoshop. Now, if you're on a Photoshop, other programs like the GIMP or something similar can work just as well. Nothing fancy going on with this tutorial. There we go. So now I gotta clean things up a little bit and do my best to get rid of the text and isolate the outline of the state. So let's go here. I'm just gonna start by selecting some of the gray areas and then drawing over all the letters. Keep in mind, I'm going to be cutting this map out with a jigsaw. It means you don't have to be 100% perfect with these letters. You know, I just get it close enough. So let's see how close I can get to selecting just the state outline with using the magic wand tool. Well, that's a fail. Let's turn down the tolerance a fair bit. Hey, that's not too bad. I'm not too worried about some little islands. Oh, phooey. Well, okay. Turn down the tolerance some more and keep trying that until you have a result that you like. Whoops. Hey, just like that, that looks pretty good. So let's copy these out. I'm going to create a new layer, and then I'm going to stroke the outlines here so that I get rid of the shaded areas and just have a simple black outline of the state. I love how I'm talking with my hands, that you obviously can't see. Even when I'm doing voiceover, I'm talking with my hands. We're crying out loud. Okay, anyway. State outline. And I'm just going to choose different values of the width. I find something I think looks pretty good. Keep in mind, I'm going to be blowing this thing up quite a bit. So if it looks a little small right now, it's not that big of a deal. In fact, that probably will work pretty well right there. Like, once again, jigsaw, I can only get so... What's the word? I can only get so fine detail with a jigsaw, right? So now I want to scale this thing up. Let me actually hide the actual shade of the area state. Now I got the outline of Michigan here. Let me scale this thing up to be about, I can kind of choose what I want. Let's make this whole thing be 2 feet tall. So we're going to go to the image size at inches right now. I don't really care about the resolution. It's going to be crap no matter what. So with a height of 24 inches. And then what I need to do is break this thing up into printable chunks. So basically things that are about 8 by 10, I can print those out on sheets of paper and reassemble them. And what I think I will do to help make the reassembly better, I'm going to just add some red guidelines. So when I'm sticking the pieces of paper back together, I've got some additional registrations other than simply the outline of the state to line things up. So let me just drop in, I don't know, we're going to drop in some guide rules here, both vertically and horizontally. Okay, now I have to go ahead and just draw along each of these lines. So let's clear the guides out. And I've got my little grid lines left. Now, one last thing I need to do, because I'm going to have this template on the back of the piece, so therefore the front isn't going to have any paper I got to remove or deal with that, I need to mirror this across the x-axis. That way when I put it down on my piece and I cut it out, I'm going to be cutting out the right way when I flip it over. So let's just go up to image rotation, and flip canvas horizontal to get the state backwards. Wow, that looks weird looking at the state like that. Okay, now I need to break it out into smaller pieces. I'm going to make them be 8 inches wide by 10 inches tall, so therefore I can fit them on a typical sheet of paper without having to worry about any bleed or anything like that. So I'm just going to start turning off the layers because obviously it's a jumbled mess at the moment, and print these things off one at a time, and then I'll be able to reassemble them down on my workpiece. So now we're down here in the basement trying to actually do the construction of this particular piece here. And there's 2 main wood components to this. I have some plywood. It's actually about 4mm thick plywood and quickly painted gray wood panels. If you've ever painted with tabletop gaming miniatures, you know what's called the dip and flick method. It looks like that's what what this company did with this large amounts of wood. Now I picked these up from the Home Improvement Center. Nothing fancy to them. They're about like 3/8 inch thick over here, and like I said, they're just like poorly graded or poorly painted wood panels. But what I want to do is lay these things down onto my plywood base, such that I got a bit of a paneled look to it, and a bit of a rustic look, which is a key word for kind of crappy. I'm going to go for that too. I'm also cutting these panels as kind of arbitrarily in length to get a bit of an interesting random patchwork pattern going on here. And I think that'll just look kind of cool when it's all said and done with. And one note from a layout perspective, because of how I'm going to lay these pieces out, the lower peninsula of Michigan is going to have the panels going east to west, and the upper peninsula is going to be going from north to south, which I think would be kind of a nice look, so that's why I'm doing it that way. With all the panels in place, I'm going to take them up, apply a whole bunch of wood glue, and glue them down. And then I'm using another sheet of plywood I've got here, putting some heavy weights on it to hopefully clamp the glue down. After a couple hours, the glue hopefully is dry, and we're going to take it up. And now this one, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to lay down my paper templates. But before I could do that, I got to assemble them, because remember I printed them all out on 8 by 11 sheets of paper. Okay, now it's time to affix these paper templates, and the reason I'm affixing these to the back is because I don't really see the back in the final piece, right? In fact, the paper template's still on the back. But hey, that's all right. It's gonna be hanging up on the wall. You're never gonna know there's a paper template on the back. But to affix them to the plywood here, I'm using some spray adhesive just for a quick, even, nice coat of glue. And I think that'll work pretty well for this. And then from there, it's time for a whole lot of jigsaw work. Okay, so I'm taking a bit of a break from the jigsaw, let it cool down. And I need to fix a few issues here. Let me just hold up this piece. So I've got the Lower Peninsula of Michigan all cut out, looking pretty good, except that some of the wall panels fell out. So I gotta track those pieces down, re-glue them in shape, and probably do a little bit more jigsaw work to clean that up. So with that, I fixed a little jigsaw screw-ups here. So now this part is back in Lake Huron like it's supposed to be. And I'm giving back this tiny little sliver here to the state of Indiana. We don't need another border crisis. We already fought with Ohio once. One person got stabbed, blah, blah, blah. The Great Ohio-Michigan War, I think it was 1837. That'll be on Story of Michigan at some point. Anyway. Thank you guys all for watching. Once again, I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. Sometimes, I dive into random woodworking projects. And if you are interested in learning more about history, head over to storyofmichigan.com or look up Story of Michigan on YouTube, and I'll be producing some new content there not too far in the future. And of course, you can create whatever shape you want. I just obviously, for practical reasons, created the map of Michigan because that's what I need. But this technique can work with who knows, whatever you wanted to work with. So with that, I think that's about it. I probably should say subscribe, all that, share, all that fun YouTube stuff. But whatever, you get the drill. I think you've watched so many YouTube videos at this point, you probably know about all that. So anyway, have a great week.